The Faroe Islands, a brief history and 10 amazing facts. Tucked between Iceland and Norway in the North Atlantic Ocean lie the Faroe Islands, a windswept archipelago of 18 major islands known for its steep cliffs, rolling green hills, and deep-rooted traditions. Though technically under Danish sovereignty, the Faroe Islands function as a self-governing territory with a strong cultural identity and a fascinating history stretching back over a millennium. Early settlement. Human activity in the Faroe Islands dates back as early as the 4th to 6th centuries AD. Archaeological discoveries suggest that Irish monks, known as paper, may have been the first settlers. They lived ascetic lives in isolation, drawn to the solitude and spiritual isolation of the islands. However, these early inhabitants left little trace beyond scattered ruins and written records from other parts of Europe. Viking Age and Norse colonization. By the late 9th century, Norse settlers from western Norway arrived, and the Faroes became permanently inhabited. These Viking Age farmers and seafarers brought with them livestock, including the now famous Faroese sheep, and began forming small, self-sufficient communities. The Norse influence remains strong to this day, not only in language but also in culture, place names, and legal customs. Around the year 900, the Faroese established one of the world's earliest parliaments, the Althing, which later evolved into the Lagting, still in operation today. Christianization and foreign rule. In the year 999 AD, the islands were formally Christianized, largely due to efforts by Sigmundur Bristisson, a nobleman from the southern island of Suðuroy. His conversion efforts, initially rejected by the local population, were later ratified at the Althing. Churches began replacing Viking temples, and Christianity took root. By the 11th century, the islands became part of the Kingdom of Norway. When Norway entered into union with Denmark in 1380, the Faroe Islands came under Danish rule, a status that has shaped much of its modern governance. Danish sovereignty and isolation. Throughout the late medieval and early modern periods, the Faroe Islands remained isolated and economically limited. They were often treated as a trading monopoly by Danish kings and merchants, restricting economic growth. In 1814, after the Treaty of Kiel separated Norway from Denmark, the Faroe Islands remained under Danish rule. In the 19th century, a nationalist and cultural revival swept the islands. The Faroese language, suppressed during Danish rule, saw a resurgence, and local intellectuals pushed for greater autonomy. World War II and autonomy. During World War II, after Denmark was occupied by Nazi Germany in 1940, British forces took over the Faroe Islands to prevent a German invasion. This unexpected wartime occupation helped shape the island's future, building roads, bridges, and social ties that outlasted the war. Some Faroese women even married British soldiers and moved to the UK. In 1948, Denmark granted the Faroe Islands Home Rule. This pivotal legislation allowed the islands to control domestic affairs, including education, taxation, and trade, while Denmark retained control over military and foreign policy. Modern-day Faroes. Today, the Faroe Islands function with a high degree of autonomy. They are not part of the European Union, having opted out in 1973 alongside Greenland. The islands have their own flag, currency, Faroese krona, and official language, Faroese. Economically, the Faroes rely heavily on fishing and fish farming, which accounts for over 90% of exports. Despite their small population, about 54,000 people, the Faroes maintain a strong global presence through sports, art, and tourism. Their rugged beauty, distinct culture, and push for environmental sustainability have made them one of the North Atlantic's most intriguing destinations. 10 amazing facts about the Faroe Islands. 1. Sheep outnumber people. The Faroe Islands have around 70,000 sheep and only about 54,000 people. In fact, the name Faroe means sheep islands in Old Norse. It's not uncommon to see sheep roaming freely across hillsides and sometimes even on roads. 2. Home to one of the world's oldest parliaments. The Faroese parliament, the Lagting, traces its roots back to around 825 AD, making it one of the oldest continuously operating legislative bodies in the world. It still convenes in Tórshavn, the capital. 3. Not a member of the EU. Though part of the Kingdom of Denmark, the Faroe Islands are not part of the European Union. This allows them to control their own fishing policies, which is crucial to the local economy. 4. Puffins and birdlife galore. Mykines, one of the smaller islands, is a paradise for bird watchers. It's especially famous for its puffin colonies, along with other seabirds like gannets, fulmars, and kittiwakes. 5. Unique language. Faroese, the official language, is a descendant of Old Norse. It's one of the few remaining Germanic languages that retains many features of the Viking tongue. Children are taught both Faroese and Danish in schools. 6. No McDonald's or Starbucks. The Faroe Islands are one of the few places in Europe with no global fast food chains like McDonald's or Starbucks. Local food is preferred, and traditional cuisine, like fermented lamb and fish, is deeply respected. 7. Subsea tunnels and underwater roundabouts. Several of the main islands are connected by underwater tunnels, including one that contains the world's first subsea roundabout, complete with a light sculpture in the middle. 8. Renewable energy goals. The Faroese government has ambitious goals to make the islands 100% reliant on renewable electricity by 2030. Wind, hydro, and tidal power are already major sources. 9. Unique whaling tradition. The Grindadrap, or whale drive, is a centuries-old tradition where pilot whales are driven ashore and harvested. It's controversial but deeply rooted in local culture and sustains communities in lean times. 10. Viking DNA and pride. Recent genetic studies show that the Faroese population has high levels of Viking ancestry, with many male lineages tracing back to Scandinavian roots and many female lineages tracing to Celtic regions, reflecting the early settlements. Conclusion. The Faroe Islands may seem like a distant, mist-covered outpost on the edge of the Atlantic, but they are anything but forgotten. Their long history of independence, resilience, and cultural pride has shaped a modern society that honors its past while innovating for the future. Whether it's their ancient parliament, Viking language, seabird-covered cliffs, or sheep-filled pastures, the Faroe Islands stand as one of the most unique and fascinating places in Europe. From quiet fjords and green-roofed cottages to tech-forward governance and renewable energy efforts, the Faroe Islands represent a harmonious blend of tradition and modernity. And although they remain tied to Denmark, they beat proudly with their own distinct heart.